I think I'm live. Yes. Okay, yes. Greetings, greetings. Oh my goodness. Greetings, greetings. I am going to touch up on a little subject tonight real quick. Okay. I'm not trying to stay on here too long. I just want to touch upon something I came across. Well, I heard something that I want to address. But I also saw something as I was strolling YouTube that I'm going to address as well. So, Kala, what's his name? Kala Genesis went live, and of course, I was expecting to see Africa. I was expecting him to turn on the camera and let us see that he is indeed in Liberia, which he did not. He just pulled a Jonathan on us. Y'all a fucking trip on this YouTube. He pulled a Jonathan on us, which is to say he's in Africa, to say he's here and there, but he never, ever flips on that camera to show us. Oh well, yeah, I'm in Africa. I can open the camera up. Y'all won't see, but never open the camera up. Of course we want to see. Why wouldn't we want to see? But he's never opened that camera. But he can go inside the rental place and turn the camera on. That's because they're not in Africa. You know, I told you guys a while back that when it comes to these people that be going to Africa, especially them who got something going on business wise, they don't be in Africa like that. I'm telling you, they can't maintain themselves. They can't stand it. They little spoiled asses cannot stand in Africa more than 5 days. I'm telling you. So they would go and take a trip, do some filming for that day, hurry up and do some filming, get the fuck up out of there. Then they come back home to America and play like they still in Africa. Yes. So you know they make friends in Africa or whatever, build relationships with people or whatever who will continue to help maintain this stuff while they living in America. So anyway, I told y'all that a while back, okay? Listen, we're talking about Jonathan and Kala though, who keeps lying about being in Africa, but they're not. They're right here in America. Hey, oh my goodness, one time they had this girl, this girl who I was sub with, and she went to Paris, right? And she used to do some things. She used to talk to guys on the back end for money and stuff. And so what happened was that she was getting a little bit, I guess, stalked, harassed, and she acted like she moved to Paris. So she went out there, took pictures, all that kind of stuff like that. You know, she had her camera open the whole time, filming her visitation and stuff like that. And then about a month later, because she was talking about she moved to Paris and got a place and everything. I'm washing clothes and it's my last load. I hope this isn't too loud because that wash machine is loud. But anyway, she moved to Paris. She claimed, and and she was like, yeah. Oh, nobody ain't gonna find my spot because I'm in Paris and blah blah blah. But one day she made a mistake while she's living in Paris and picked up her damn Dairy Queen cup. She was talking out and she made a mistake and reached over and picked up that Dairy Queen cup. Boom! She just let everybody know she was right here in America. So of course people was like, "Oh, she in America. She drinking Dairy Queen. She got a Dairy Queen drink." So that's how it be. You have a lot of people online on YouTube that I told you they live their fantasy lives on YouTube, and they lie about everything. You know, they just make up. It is what it is. They make up who they are on here. That's why you can't trust people on YouTube. You can't. I mean, you just can't. So, anyways, um, that's the same thing. I had to add a little side note, and I thought about because Kala and Jonathan does the same thing. They say they're in Africa, but refuse to turn on the camera a few minutes and give us some view of the Africa you in. Don't you think we want to see Liberia? Is it Liberia or Liberia? It's Liberia. Don't you think we want to see Liberia? Of course we do. In a even if you're in a resort area, we still want to see it. Jonathan, we want to see. You're in Africa. Turn on the camera, sir. I want to see. You say you live in a gated community out there. It can't be that bad. Carla, turn on the camera. We want to see you. You missed the big shot. So we know you got a little spot out there. If you're out there, that's pretty nice. Turn on the camera. All right. So, anyways, I'm gonna address that another time. Right now, I want to address the fact that I was listening to Carlos panel and I heard Dave on a panel, and he brought up black people that live in America that worship, that believe in the Bible. And he thought it was hilarious to criticize them. And him and Kala was, laughing down. And I'm like, well, what's funny? I'm thinking to myself, I don't see the funny part. I'm not hearing the funny part. I'm trying to break this down, but I'm not finding the funny in it. Okay, I know y'all goofies and shit be laughing at nothing, just fucking goofy. So, anyways, I'm like, is that low key shade at the ADOS FBA family, Black American? That's our title, by the way. Again, Dave, that's in Kala. That's our title. If you of immigrant descent, you cannot call yourself a Black American, and it is what it is. There ain't no hard feelings, no hatred. I'm just saying that's our description title. So y'all know what I believe in. I'm a Bible believer, and people be low key shading people. You know what I'm saying? So he threw that out there like, they in America worshiping a white Jesus and all that. And I'm like, who worship a white Jesus and all that? What's all that? But who worshiped the white Jesus? So I wanted to address that. And first, we're going to address give me a moment, to address the fact that a lot of those immigrants project their mindset and their lifestyle upon us, the ADOS FBA family, Black American family. They project their issues upon us by number one stating that we have no culture. No, no, you're copying our culture. You have no culture. That's number one. Number two, constantly telling us we want to be people we're not. We're lying about having native lineage when I think if you got common sense, all you got to do is go to the South and come on down somewhere, Colin. The South is not Virginia, sweetheart. Go deep South, deep South. Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, deep up in there, hun. So you will find many people that go way, way back with Native ancestry. And so they would throw stuff out there. Well, they enslaved you, sir, ma'am. No. Those people they bought Black Americans out of slavery to stand with them against Caucasian fights because they were outnumbered. A lot of them were out. They had wiped out a lot of their people, but they still was fighters like us. The Native American, I like to say indigenous. The indigenous Americans, their mindset is not to give in either. They were very strong-minded people as well. A lot of people don't talk about native slavery, which was the first form of slavery upon these white people arriving to this country and being welcomed by the Native Americans. They enslaved them. They wiped out a lot of their people. Let me turn this down. They wiped out a lot of their people and begin to enslave them and indoctrinate them and try to make them force them into assimilation. But these people were so resistant. Don't you know a lot of their children died running away from those boarding schools where they try to force them into assimilation? A lot of the because it was in the northern areas, a lot of the schools and the kids would run away and die in the snow and all that kind of stuff, or they would constantly give them a hard time till they ended up killing them. And they've been finding them burial grounds all over of native children from those boarding schools. The history is horrific. They first know of these people, not us. The native people were so resistant that they would run to the ocean and jump in the ocean before they be their slaves. And they knew the landscape really well. They were a very resistant people, very resistant, very strong minded people, even in the fight of an unfair war, still fighting. Big ups to the indigenous Americans. They were still fighting. And they did the same thing. They went through their tribes. The native people originally, if you dig deep and do some history research, you'll find out that the natives all around America, they were so deep, deep, deep chocolate, dark chocolate. I mean, really deep, dark chocolate. That was the original look of the native people. Smooth chocolate skin, very dark, smooth chocolate skin. And so, even the original, way up there, Eskimos were very, very dark skinned people. Smooth, dark skin with silky hair. Do your history, okay? And what happened was that nowadays they look pretty much white. You can hardly tell that they're native because they've been whitewashed just like us. They have white bloodlines flowing through them because of slavery. They they impregnated the women. Did the same thing to the men. I mean, not did the same. It did the same thing. The same thing happened with our men. The men was not procreating with their women anymore because they didn't want to bring children into a society of enslavement. And so what happened was that the women many times bear the children of the enslaver, and that's what happened with the Black American people ancestors as well. So now you have a lot of natives that is white looking, Asian looking. They just, you can't even tell a lot of them are native indigenous people. But big ups again to them because they are a very resistant people as well. Even to this day, we hardly hear them, but they're very resistant people as well. And so we move along into um, the Black Americans, our people. Same thing, very resistant, fought back in the face of unfair fight, still was standing up fighting back. And I say it all that to say that when it comes to the Native, the Indigenous American, and the Black American, and some of us, I do believe again that some Black people were here already. I believe they had Asians here even before Caucasians and other nations of people here. I don't believe that only one people voyaged the open seas first. I think different groups of people around the world were already voyaging the open seas way before Caucasians. They were not the only ones traveling the open seas. Okay, and some people believe who worship Caucasians, they believe that Caucasians had the technology to do such a thing. And I'm like, technology? Back in the days? What? What are you talking about? They had the technology to voyage. What tech the fuck is you talking? Everybody had a boat with a wind sail that they controlled pretty much. Okay? But trust and believe they were not the first ones open the only people that voyaged the open seas. So all that was said to make my point that indigenous Americans did not enslave black American peoples. Okay? They bought them out of slavery and to stand with them and fight with them because they didn't have the numbers to really fight against those Caucasians. And we shared the common ground of what? An enemy, the same enemy. And so that had done the people so wrong. And so that's what they did. They would buy blacks out of they had and then they would come with, oh, black people bought slaves too. Black Americans bought slaves too. You people are really, really, really dumb. You're dumb. They had black Americans, of course, buying their people out of slavery, especially their family members who they loved and other people they knew and stuff. Of course, they bought each other out of slavery. How dumb are you? Of course, the indigenous people bought blacks out of slavery to help stand with them. And the indigenous people of the South, they was really high believers in maintaining the melanin in the skin. So what happened was that every time they went to war with these people and their numbers dropped, their men were killed, the women would take on one of the black American men to continue on the dark skin, the lineage. And that way you had like that's where you get a whole lot. These people were marrying black Americans to continue their lineage. This is where you get a whole lot, especially in the South, a whole lot of black people with native lineage. Okay, especially in the South, lots of people like large amounts of native lineage. You can tell even by, I mean, you cannot tell by looking at somebody, but you can see from them that they have native lineage. All right, so um, I just wanted to address that. Indigenous Americans didn't participate in slavery, nor did any Black Americans by purchasing slaves. They purchased them out of slavery to stand with them, marry them. That was people that they love. You guys don't know the history. That's why you say the stupid shit you say, and you're immigrant minded. Period. All right. All right. So let's move along. I had to say all of that because I was talking about what? Let me get back on topic. What I was talking, I ended up talking about, how addressing how you guys think that indigenous and black Americans participating in slavery like you did in Africa. The African kingdoms and empires most certainly had business relations with Europeans and Arabs, and they purposely, proudly, continuously sold their people as commodity into slavery. And in return, the European, they in turn took them around the world selling them as well, probably for a little bit more money than what they bought them for. So, not money, but people exchanged goods back then. So, there was never an army of people, an army of Europeans that invaded Africa and went up through Africa just kidnapping motherfucking tribes. Never a such thing. Come on, people. Okay, they used other tribes. The kingdoms and empires. They sold those people to the Europeans and the Arabs. They didn't have to go in there, but they sold them to them. They set up shop. They the ones who built. The Africans are the ones who built the slave dungeons and the the ship things where you pull up and do business. It was all Africa. And you wonder why those countries are the way they are, decimated pretty much. You wonder why. Well, we don't have to wonder why. We know why. It's the horrors of it. Can you imagine them going in there and kidnapping different tribes of families, ripping them apart? Sometimes the brothers may be all hunting for food or something, or who knows what. Then they never show up again. Or the women, they didn't kidnap all the fucking women while the men went to look for food or something. You come back and your family gone. And it was horrible. They put them in chains and put them in a slave dungeon and kept them there. Their own peoples kept them there until the ships pulled up and sold them off for hundreds of years, for centuries. And the only reason that stopped was because people around the world began to fight against slavery, and they had plenty of those Quaker abolitionists that participated. You know what I'm saying? It was mainly a lot of blacks, and then the abolitionists of Caucasian began to participate, like the ones that was in search of a new life in America, like Quakers and different religious groups and stuff like that, who didn't believe in slavery. And so, because that's such an evil practice, I can't imagine having a human that, one thing is the servitude is one thing, but because there's rules to having somebody in servitude, but slavery, just my property as a non-human. Oh, that's definitely a wicked act. It's a wicked evil behavior. So, anyways, yeah. So it trips me out that we have a lot of black people that want to. It's been hundreds and hundreds of years, and they want to return with their families back to a place that still participates in slavery, selling babies and women to this day, still participating in other horrible, horrible things. And I just be thinking, this is a big old world out here. I do not understand why they are drawn back to this place where you got a lot of horrible activity going on. Because you leave in one place that has horrible activity for another place that has just this much, where they're doing child sacrificing and eating each other and other horrible things. But anyways, to each his own. I don't get it though. Okay. So anyways, they were talking about they were talking about um, black people worshiping the white Jesus and laughing, and they thought it was so funny. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, it's one thing for black people if they worship the white Jesus. All right, that's one thing, but you guys over there worshiping the ancestors and the we know the ancestors' behavior. You guys over there worshiping the ancestors and all kinds of stuff. You're doing child sacrifices and hunting people down and killing them and eating them and doing voodoo dances and just horrible shit. Like, you guys are extremely into some real wicked shit beyond. Ooh. But you find it funny that some black people supposedly worship the white Jesus. Now, um, let's look at that. for me, I'm a Bible believer, and I do not worship a white Jesus. The Jesus Christ that I worship is not a white man. Far from it. Okay, far from the Caucasus Mountains. None of that. None of that. All right. And if you knew the Bible, the Black Hebrew Israelites in Israel, Damon, they do not worship a white Jesus. We're very much aware of the Bible history. We know that the Bible does not come from Caucasians, as you were taught and you believe. Those are people that say the Bible is of white people, that's the white man's book. Those are the kind of people that believe anything the white man says. If he tell you he wrote that book and that's his history and whatever, you would just believe it without taking the time to even read it. Those are the kind of people that believe anything that comes out of a white person's mouth. But if you ask a black person that's aware of the writings in the book that are studied about the book and that have knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from the Most High God, wisdom, a gift of wisdom to understand the book, then you will understand that the enemy try to deceive you and make you think that this book is not of you, but of Caucasians. See, Caucasians knew who the people were because it was written in the book. They were special. It's a lot of twists and turns about the book that people get mixed up serving to with slavery. And, God said that to be obey your master. And that's totally misinformation. And so if you were to take the time rather than listening to what other people are saying and chopping stuff up and cherry picking stuff and read it from front to back, then you'll have a clear understanding. You have a clear understanding of the whole purpose of it and the teachings of it. Okay? So I'm not mad at people that cherry pick and all that. I just don't even entertain them because clearly they haven't taken the time to read it for themselves from front to back and ask that God give them the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of His written biblical word. And so they believe what a white man say, well, that's our book, or, that's our whatever. That's you. But I'm not the type of person. I had this debate on Q about a channel I used. They anti-God over there. Oh my gosh, they anti-Bible believers. And I had to back off. I said, listen here, if you read that Bible from front to back for yourself, and then we can sit down and we can hash it out. We can talk it out. But if you have not even taken the time to read the book from front to back, why am I talking to you about it? You don't know the book. We're going to have a discussion about a book you never read, that you cherry pick. You just type something up or heard something and you throw it out there. How it makes sense to you. But here I am. I've read the book from front to back. I've prayed for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of it to abide by it all the days of my life here on earth. No, I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect on this earth. That's another topic, right? But I have the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of it. And I'm having a debate with somebody who never even took the time to read the book to understand the history of the book and the people of the book. That's not making no sense. It's not making sense. So I had to pull back. I don't have those type of discussions with people unless they have read the book from front to back. And even I've talked to people who've read the book from front to back. They mix in other stuff with it. They add the other 5 books that was removed. That's another topic, another time. And they would be talking, and then they would be like, well, the Bible says this. And I'm like, no, it doesn't say that. I read the whole thing. Well, in the book of Esdras 16, I'm like, King James don't have the book of Esdras. And it was removed, remember? So, it's a whole, you have to be studied type of thing to have that conversation. It doesn't make sense for the person who read the book from front to back and aware of everything in it and all that to have a debate with somebody who haven't read it. Now you can't have a debate with somebody who have read the whole book from front to back. And they may not have the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the book. They interpret it how they want it to be for them. They make it fit their narrative. And so you just gotta come out to a point where you understand this person don't have the gift of understanding or knowledge. With all you're getting, get knowledge. So listen, um, I don't have those conversations anymore with people that's not studied the book. They haven't read the book from front to back. It don't make sense for me to have those conversations. But what I will say is what I believe in. And some of the Black Hebrew Israelites, there's different kinds of them. All of them don't believe the same. A lot of people don't understand this, but as I said on Q Buddy channel a while back, that I had to explain to them that there's over 300 different Christian believers, different kinds of Christian believers, different worship services. All of them don't believe the same. So you have to know who you're talking to when you talk to a believer in the Bible. This may be a Methodist believer. The other one may be a Baptist. Sometimes they got the non-denominational ones that they don't have a particular group that they claim. They just believe in the Bible. They're just disciples of the biblical Christ. So be aware that everybody who said a Christian don't believe the same. Just the same as Muslims, everybody that said a Muslims, they have different kinds of Muslim groups, believers. Everybody that say they a particular religion or belief, remember that there's different groups of them within that one group. Okay? That's first of all. You got just like Black people. There's different um, ethnicities, right? Caucasians, different ethnicities, and Asians, different ethnicities, right? And then when you get to Black Americans, within our group, we have different faith beliefs. Okay, some of us are Christians, some are Muslims, some are Black Hebrew Israelites. Same thing with Caucasians. Some of them are Quakers, some are Jews, some are Christians, some are whatever. Same thing with Asians. We understand. So no one nation of people is going to all be on the same page. All right. That's what we have common ground as one nation, but we're not all on the same page. Or we have common ground as a tribe of people. This is my nation or tribe of people. We have common ground, but it doesn't mean that we all gonna believe the same. Okay. All right. So that's diversity. All right, so moving along. So people that worship the ancestors. That's what I was tapping on. See my subtitle, to worship the ancestors or creator of the ancestors. And that's where we at. We have some people that worship the ancestors. They don't worship the creator of the ancestors. And what happens with that? And this is simply Miss Chantel's opinion and perspective. When you, as believers in the Bible, first of all, we're taught to worship the Creator, not our ancestors. We're taught to respect honor and respect our ancestors. but not worship them as perfect people, as people that's, righteous. Because they got bad people in every race, group, tribe, good people in every race, group, tribe. Okay? So let me give you an example. For example, in the Bible, it tell in the book of let's talk about the kings. They go down the list of all the kings, the generations of kings, and um, so the father. Let's. I was trying to think of a king's name, but I can't think of one right now. But let's say this man, he was the king, right, of Israel, and then his son became the king. It usually goes to the oldest child. His son became the king. So the first king, he was good. His son, who became the king, was not so nice of a king. He didn't believe in God and he didn't do a lot. He was very wicked behaved. And then his son was a God fearing person. He loved the people. He was all about the people. And then his son was not a good king. And that's how it goes. If you go read the book of Kings, you'll see that's how it goes. So just because the dad was a great king and a good king and a God fearing king, it doesn't mean that was what you was gonna get from his son. Because his son is his own person, right? And that's how it went. Okay. So um give me a second. Yeah, that's how it went. So um we're not taught to worship the we taught to worship the creator for the simple fact that humans we are taught that humans are imperfect. That's why there's forgiveness. Humans are imperfect. And no, you can't do a bunch of terrible stuff and be like, oh, it's forgiven, that's all good. Okay, that's not how that go. I don't know why people, so you got to read for yourself and understand how it go. But listen, we taught to worship the creator, not the ancestors. So when that young man who was becoming a new king, he was supposed to have been taught by his parents to worship the Creator, who would guide him in his walk in life, who would guide him in his assignment in his walk in life. If he's the king, then he's going to have that personal connection where he has that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding on how to be a good king. Some people aren't taught, so they aren't prepared. They have no knowledge of, no fear, no knowledge of their Creator. So they do them. They play their own God. I know a lot of believers don't, non-believers don't understand what I'm saying right now. I be trying to put it in as simple form as possible, but that's how that go. So we supposed to be taught as believers. We're supposed to teach our children to worship the Creator, not worship the parents. But you are to honor and respect your parents. Respect their advice, honor, and as children, you must obey them. And then as you get older, you still respect and honor their advice, take their advice, all that good stuff like that. Because they're people with wisdom, they're older people. I know today's time is whacked out, but yeah, that's what we taught. So, anyways, on to the other side. They're taught to worship the ancestors. Oh, by the way, as Bible believers, the history is given to us of how this earth was created, how the food came about, and all of that. So we don't believe in the Big Bang Theory because the history of the whole existence of the earth has been given to us in the biblical written word. So a man can't walk up to us and tell us that dinosaurs were here first because that's not written in the biblical text. Or They have 9 planets or 12, but we find out that two of them are not planets but meteorites. Oops, all that kind of stuff. If we can't see it with our eyes, why should we believe this person? Okay, so yeah, so that's what we taught as believers in the Bible, to believe the written word, right? So moving along on to people that worship the ancestors, because I was just talking about worshiping the Creator. As a Bible believer, we worship the Creator. And then there's the people that worship the ancestors, like David, where he from, his people, Liberia, they worship the ancestors. All right, and you see what they end up doing. Okay, Caucasians, and they Okay, so first of all, when we talk about Caucasian slavery, we must always acknowledge Caucasians. We have to start remembering this. Caucasians did not go and bang down African doors and just yank people up and kidnap them and shit. That never happened. You gotta stop with the Mandela effect. Stop it, people. You want to believe that it happened this way, but it never happened that way. Caucasians never invaded Africa. Yeah, besides Ethiopia, they never invaded Africa like that. We're talking about West Africa. They did business with them. They eventually invaded, when they realized that these people hate each other and stuff. But beforehand, they did business with them. They were selling people to Caucasians way before the actual Atlantic slave trade. They were selling them to other nations. Um, we have to remember when we think about the Caucasians selling to people around the globe, remember those Caucasians did not fight, did not invade Africa to get those people. The Caucasians were able to make a business deal with Africans and bought those people. So when you finger point the Caucasian as being the horrible kidnapper of Africa, they were not kidnappers, they were purchasers. Like the pimp, he puts the women on the street, and then they got Johns, right? The Caucasians were like the Johns, and the pimps were like Mama Africa, the African kingdoms and nations that sold their children off to the streets. Remember that connection. When you think about the Caucasian slavery and the slave descendants all around the world, you remember that Caucasian was a purchaser, but the seller was the African kingdoms and nations. And they still doing it today. So that's why I get confused with people. I'll be like, why would you want to go back into a nation that's still doing the same thing they're doing? They even deny participating in selling people to Europe, having business deals, but it's documented. We've already had African presidents rise up and say we must apologize for such things that happened in the past and, try to rectify them, but they haven't rectify those situations by inviting the people back to Africa to use them. Let me tell you what their mindset is like. I tell you, we think very differently. Their mindset is they look at us over here in the slave descendants, particularly in America, and they say, well, those people are very strong, thriving people. Look at them. They're creative. They have pretty much built up America. America wouldn't be America without those black slave descendants there. They have made that country what it is. Maxi pads, strollers, everything that you guys use in the day was created by black American people. The ones that was in chattel slavery in America. Not the ones that came over later. Who are trying to make themselves us and make us them and all that old foolery. Okay? So the presidents of those African countries, they look over, they're like, hey, wait a minute. They spending trillions on what? Listen, they crying about they need somewhere to go and be away from the white folks. Okay, listen, let's get them over here. So they pay those Pan Africanists to infiltrate us and all that old bullshit. They had the white people doing it too now. They wanted a lot of us to just get the fuck on. They didn't want to see us in their country excelling. We were once enslaved by them. So they don't. The last thing they want to see is a smart ass slave descendant in this country thriving, which they got to see a lot of that. And a lot of the lies came out that these people aren't dumb like you said they are. I thought you said they was half human and illiterate, couldn't read or write, or none of that. But here these people up here inventing everything and shit, making it even better. Inventing things that are many stolen inventions, and anything Caucasian supposedly invented, they made it better. The telephone was most definitely invented by a black American man. He sold the patent to the white guy before he can even claim it, before people knew it was his. Come on now. So, anyways, they look over to America and they go, hey, we're going to get them over there. It used to be white people trying to get us over there and get us up out of here. They used the prison system to do it. They used drugs to try to rid the black Americans. They brought in um, people that look like us because we fought for these people to come here. And when they brought a lot of people to come, they told the people they plotted a scheme to use those very people against us. Okay. So there you have it. And when the people is resistant like that, and immigrants aren't resistant like us. I always tell you that, and they don't have our mindset. They're not resistant like us. Native, indigenous natives, indigenous Americans, very resistant people, strong-minded people. So yeah, the African presidents, they look over, they like, oh, let's get them people over here to come here, get the slave children. Our ancestors were the slaves they sold to the Europeans. Get the slave children, the slave descendants to come to Africa and build it up. But then, what do we get out of it? You want us to come over there and build Africa but offer citizenship? That's bullshit. Citizenship? Get the fuck out of here. When a bunch of Black Americans are going over there, where we gonna live at? We need our own area where we can come and be around each other because we have the same mindset and we can start thinking and putting our minds to stuff and all that. So they don't even want to give you land to do that. Or if they give you land, it's going to be temporary land or tell you it's yours and come back and say, well, nobody can own the land here except kings and their children. Oh my goodness. The games they are playing on the people over there. I'm like, listen, how you letting the people duke you around like that? Play with you like a little baby doll? Why would you go? Why would we pack up everything and go to Africa and invest in Africa? What the fuck do we get out of it? What do we get out of it? What do? And let me tell you something. The Liberian Americans are the perfect example of what you would get out of it. The white people paid for them to go. They wanted them out of America. They didn't want them excelling and shit over them in this country because they know how smart our people were. They didn't want to see them doing a come up over here, walking around all elegant and shit, and they can't enslave them. They slap a motherfucker slap him back and be like, bitch, I'm richer than you. Go sit down somewhere, dirty hole. Oh, they didn't want that kind of stuff. One thing I can tell you, I do know that when black men are funky rich, do not like it, especially when they fronting it. Ooh, cha. Okay. So, anyways, they paid for the black Americans to get on about their business to Africa. They went over there, eventually became independent of the Caucasians. All right, they built the country up or whatever, and then they decided to befriend or allow into the the cities they were building. They decided to allow the local indigenous tribal people that was around them. They decided to let them in on Liberia, the new Liberia that was being built in that territory. And those people, they let them in. But they also knew very well that the people were savage mind like they ate people, they did all kinds of crazy stuff, killing each other and stuff, different tribes, attacking people for no reasons, whatever. They knew this about the people, but they decided, okay, we're gonna let them in and befriend them and all of that. And they did that. And those people, they didn't let them. The rule was that nobody could rule America or Liberia except a direct descendant of American Liberians, male, of course. And so, and mind you, they had Haitians and Caribbeans and stuff there as well. So those indigenous people, when they let them in, they didn't understand they had a different mindset from them. They were not like-minded people. They didn't have the same faith, same belief system. They didn't grow up the same. They didn't deal with Caucasians the way those black Americans did and them Caribbeans and Haitians did. They didn't have that kind of relationship with the Caucasians. Matter of fact, those tribes of people worked for the Caucasians, kidnapping African tribes and selling them to the Caucasians. But they were not enslaved by the Caucasians, okay? Here come the American Liberians hundreds of years later and shit want to go back to the land where people kidnapped and sold your tribe to these Caucasians. You want to go back around these same people, which they did, and look what happened. They befriended the people. Oh, come on, we're going to add this too and all of that. The people watched them like a hawk. 10, 30 years. They just watched them build and everything. The whole while. In their heart, they were not friends to them. In their heart, they played the friend. They got in their friend zone and played the friend. And then eventually one day those people found a reason when they were ready to take that shit over. They was like, look, it's all built up. We're gonna take this shit. And that's what they did. They found any little reason. First they attacked before they even got to the American Liberians, they attacked other tribes, other neighboring tribes. Because they probably knew those native tribes would help the American Liberians. When they attacked them, and went through the different indigenous native tribes attacking. And then they got to the American Liberians and attacked and killed them too. And a lot of those people practice cannibalism. They believe when they eat the person, they absorb their powers. So we know they cooked them up and ate them. They didn't even cook them. They believe in literally eating people raw. It is what it is. That's the history. It's documented. Go read it. Go look it up for yourself. I ain't adding nothing into it or taking nothing from it. They were not enslaved. What they were indentured. And they were not really even indentured. They were hired, paid, low positions. That's what I mean. And so, um, They didn't work for free or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what happened. Those people was like, all right, we're ready to take this shit. It's all fixed up, man. It's about to be the bomb. We're gonna take control of this shit. And that's what they did. What was the mistake? In the ADOS FBA, aka Black American Family, going back to Africa, to a land where they were sold off to Caucasians as business, commodity, human trafficking. So, what price did they pay going back into that environment of the same people with the same mindset? I think we should learn from that. So, that's the difference between people who worship the Creator, biblical believers. We worship the Creator. Then you got people that worship the ancestors. They continuously do what their ancestors have done. They don't change it up. They just, everything is what the ancestors done. And if the ancestors sold their people off into slavery like nothing, didn't even give it a second thought, still don't really feel no bad feelings about it. Business is business. They'll do the shit. I mean, the only reason it stopped is because of the people around the world working against it. That's who stopped it. Africa didn't stop selling people. They still sell people today, and children and babies. So that's why I get confused with some of these black people talking about going back to Africa. I'd be like, what part of Africa? Baby, what part of Africa are you talking about? Now I go to Kenya somewhere, South Africa, somewhere like that, but not West Africa. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, I wanted to explain to you the difference of people that worship the ancestors and people that worship the Creator. The Creator, people that believe in the Bible and our Jesus is not white. The Creator. By the way, the group white supremacy, they took the Catholics. They took and try to twist the Bible into their narrative. And so that's when you see pictures of white Jesus and all that kind of stuff, because that's the white supremacy groups that try to twist it to make it seem like the book is theirs. Okay, but we know if you read the text in the scriptures, you'll know that it doesn't match up with what the scriptures teach and says. Okay, but somebody who haven't read it, they wouldn't understand that it doesn't match up. It's not so. That's a whole different. The Catholics have their own Bible and stuff. Okay, so anyways, we believe in worshiping the Creator of us, and then there's people that believe in worshiping their ancestors, which means they continue the behavior of their ancestors from way back. I'm just using Africans. They continue the behavior of their ancestors way back in slavery, and that's how come you can hear people talking about slavery, and they're like, "Yeah, we enslaved you." That's because they have their ancestors' mindset. They ancestor worshippers. But if they were worshippers of their creator, they wouldn't think like that. So that's what it is. When you go back to Africa, West Africa, you're dealing with a people that worship their ancestors. And however the ancestors were back in the days, that is what they are today. Their mindset. All right. I think that's enough because I didn't want to be on here too long. I just wanted to break down the difference between worship and the creator and the ancestors. And Dave had a good laugh. As a matter of fact, I seen that dude on. He kind of all around the place. Like I don't know if he considers himself a Black American or a Liberian because he has immigrant roots. I don't know if he calls himself Black American or Liberian, but I remember him from BSI A channel talking to Trina. And I'm like, is that Dave? I couldn't quite pinpoint, but I'm like, nah, that's him up here cosplaying Black American. Like these people are here, man. They be all over the place, flip flopping. I thought it was funny. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm trying to hear. I'm like, wait, that is his, that's him. No, wait a minute. No, that's, should I ask him? I mean, what? He talking like he one of us though. Like he a FBA. Should I call him out or what? And then when she said Dave, I say, oh shit. So he over there in spaces pretending to be FBA mess. I'm like, oh my gosh. Man, you never know who you're talking to online because people just be playing around. They go from Bandu could do that too. Whatever, Mandingo, that be on Tyler Channel. Bantu Mandingo, he go from different places, cosplaying different. I'm like, come on now. This people be bored, I guess. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta try that one day. Go on the channel and be like, "Oh, I'm." Since people say we New Orleans people sound like we have Caribbean accents and stuff. I used to work at the airport as a teenager in a gift shop, and so these Jamaican people, they opened up a gift shop, and it was right in front of Jamaican Airlines. And so when they get off the flight, they would come straight to the place to buy their souvenirs and candy and soda. And they will always think that I'm from the islands. I'm like, no, I'm from New Orleans. Like, but you sound like me, sister. I'm like, no, I'm from New Orleans. So um, I should do that one day. I was saying I should go to the channel and be like, oh no, I'm from the islands, and just start just acting like I'm an islander. That shit is ridiculous. I can't even imagine doing it. It's just ridiculous. I would have to laugh at myself. But other people do it so well. I guess I'm thinking it's for a reason though. Okay, because I don't understand why you would do something crazy like that. But anyways, I think I made my point that if you worship the ancestors, just know the difference between people that worship that believe in worshiping the Creator, us Bible believers, and our Jesus. A lot of black people they don't believe in a white Jesus. Okay, that's Catholics and stuff. And they might have a few. They do have a few black people that do practice Catholicism and stuff like that, and Mexicans and all that. That's because there's a history behind it. The Catholics went in collecting people, winning people over with charity. Remember back in the days, they would give out a lot of food to the poor and put the children in schools, private schools and stuff. The Catholic private schools, they paid for them to go. It was a whole lot of that. Dude, the people only went because they were charitable. They took care of them. When you research that, and you'll find that out. The people only was down with it because the church took care of them. Okay, they fed them and took care of their children and stuff and all that. So, anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and exit off. I think I made my point. I'll talk about the collar thing another time. The line about being in Africa, whatever. And I think I made my point between the two. There's people that worship the Creator. As Bible believers, we worship the Creator, not our parents, not our ancestors. We honor have respect for our ancestors though. And then they have people that worship their ancestors, not the Creator. And they carry on the lineage and the culture and the mindset from way, 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 way back. So when Africans in particular who worship their ancestors, a lot of them, when they tell you, oh, we don't do that anymore, it's lies. Like for instance, when Zago was on a panel the last time, he was like, "Oh, Chantel, they don't eat people anymore. Where they eat people at?" Chantel stopped, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this dude might actually lie." So I get the denying part. It's embarrassing to say eat people, but I get it. But you know, they practice their ancestral practices. Okay. Thank you for tuning into the channel and listening. Give the video a thumbs up. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this topic. Good night.